Welcome back, Sebastian here. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Oscar Piastri's rookie season so far. So obviously last time out in Japan, Piastri became the first rookie to get a podium since Lance Stroll at the 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And also before the race, it was announced that he was given a contract extension with McLaren until 2026. So because of that, I thought, great chance for me to kind of make a video talking about his rookie season so far and just kind of giving my thoughts on it. So obviously one of the most important things for any driver's rookie season is improvement. I talked about this in my video with Sargent. You want to see improvement through the season. So first 8 races between Norris and Piastri, qualifying head-to-head was 7-1 in favor of Piastri with average qualifying gap of 0.203 seconds. Now looking at races 9 through 16, qualifying head-to-head 5-3 in favor of Norris. So a little bit closer in favor of Piastri. And actually, Piastri's outqualified Norris 3 of the last 5 races as well. Qualifying gap extremely similar to the first 8 races, 0.204 seconds. But that being said, 204, that kind of gap to a driver like Lando Norris is honestly not too bad. And this driver is probably slightly deflated by qualifying at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix where, Norris clipped the wall. So that number probably should be a little bigger. So on the surface of things, I think Piastri has gone closer to Norris in qualifying. Now let's look at the race data. So race head-to-head in the first 8 races where both drivers finished 4-3 in favor of Norris. So actually really, really close. Average finishing position 13.1 for Norris, 12.4 for Piastri. So Piastri is actually ahead in terms of finishing position, but it's a little deceiving because there were certain races, for example, the very first race of the season, opening Bahrain Grand Prix, Norris finished 2 laps down, was it? Because he had to pit 6 times because a car kept braking, and Piastri DNF. So of course DNF doesn't contribute to average finishing position, but that 17th place finish did. So Norris's result numbers probably a little much lower than it should have been. Points 12-5 in favor of Norris, which most of those points were from the Australian Grand Prix. But that being said, still pretty close, but majority of the points for Norris. Then we get to races 9 through 16. Of course, massive improvement in terms of the car performance in those 8 races. Race head-to-head has actually gone worse, 7-0 in favor of Norris. Points 103 to 52, and average finishing position 4.25 to 8, all in favor of Norris. So, the race data actually looks worse second 8 races compared to the first 8 races. But that being said, I do think for Piastri, he's had a little bit worse luck second half of the season. DNF at Belgium, contact with Hamilton at the Italian Grand Prix. So I think there's just been a little bit more bad luck. That being said, it is pretty clear, especially we saw last time out at the Japanese Grand Prix. In terms of race pace, just raw race pace, Norris still has a big advantage over him just with managing tires, for example. And that's something that he's going to want to improve in the final races of the season and definitely try to get as close to possible next year. Now, of course, Oscar Piastri replaced Daniel Ricciardo last year. So I thought, it would be interesting just to look at compare Piastri's rookie season numbers compared to Ricciardo's numbers just from last year. So qualifying 19-2 in favor of Norris. Average qualifying gap 0.437. So just compared to Norris right there, Piastri would have the advantage over Ricciardo. So he's performing better than Ricciardo was last year. In the races, race head-to-head 17-14, that includes sprint races. This does not include sprint races, so would have been better if I actually went and counted properly, but so be it. Points 122 to 37, and average finishing position 7.8 to 11.4. So I believe if I took average finishing position for all 16 races here, it would be average of 9 for Norris and 9.5 or so for Piastri. So still very, very close between the two of them. Let's see. Yeah. So okay, and then for points, yeah. So just looking at average finishing position, does look a little bit closer between Norris and Piastri compared to Norris and Ricciardo. So another point for Piastri there. For points, 122.37. Piastri's total points is 57. Norris is 115. Norris has less points than he did at the end of last year. But Piastri has more points than Ricciardo did at the end of that year. So I think across all three metrics, actually all four metrics, I would say, Piastri does seem to be performing better than Ricciardo did last year in only his rookie season. So that's definitely what McLaren would have been wanting for Piastri coming into this year. And he does look very promising, look very quick as well. Of course, here I have some data from my race model. These are the delta scores for each driver's rookie season. I just picked a selection of drivers. There's, you can have many more drivers on this list, but just for their raw scores for the rookie season, Verstappen 1.1, Leclerc 1.75, Russell 0.026. There's an asterisk associated with that, which I'll get to later. Norris negative 0.97, Hülkenberg negative 1.69, Piastri negative 1.26, and Sainz negative 0.11. So of course, because these deltas are calculated on a head-to-head, Verstappen and Sainz were each other's teammates their rookie years, 2015, which is why Sainz is the negative score of Verstappen. Leclerc, obviously 2018 against Ericsson, not a particularly strong driver, but still did a very good job. Russell, of course, rookie season against Robert Kubica. Obviously, with Kubica coming back from his kind of F1 comeback with his arm injury and everything, he was not particularly good in qualifying or in the races, but that being said, did get Williams 1 point that year. The car was very, very poor, so even if Russell was much better than Kubica in race pace, more often than not, he would only finish one position ahead of Kubica because that car was so poor. And because of that, and because of the way that I calculate the points for it, Russell, it makes it look like Russell would barely finished ahead of Kubica, but just looking at the data and from watching that season, he was much better than Kubica in the races. Norris negative 9.7 against Sainz, of course. Hülkenberg 2010, so for Norris I was 2019. For Hülkenberg 2010 against Rubens Barrichello in his second last season, F1, much older driver, but again a very, very experienced driver. And of course for Piastri, of course against Lando Norris. And Sainz was, of course, against a 17-year-old driver from the Netherlands called Max Verstappen. So, looking at the data, just looking on the surface of it, Piastri does seem to have one of the weaker seasons on the board. But that being said, he does have a very, very strong teammate. And that is kind of where I calculated this adjusted score. So basically I took the score that they got here, just added it to the driver's score in my ranking score on the model. Kind of their total score to see over all of their years in F1 between 2010 and 2022, and I've added that here just to kind of give a little bit of comparison, because not all rookie seasons are equal. Verstappen's increases to 1.96, Leclerc decreases to 1.55. Russell is kind of an anomaly because Kubica was basically just a one-off. Norris negative 0.11, so it does improve. Hülkenberg, for my model, I like to use, I like drivers to have at least 3 seasons worth of data, and because Barrichello only had the 2 years within the time frame that my model covers, I don't have a number for him. Piastri 0.24, so it actually increases above 0, and Sainz 1.53. So a little bit biased there, given that it was a 17-year-old Max Verstappen, who of course is not the driver that Max Verstappen is today. But I think the important point that I want to get across from this is that not all rookie seasons are equal. Having a very strong teammate as a rookie will mean that you'll naturally will have a much more difficult rookie season. Sargent this year against Albon, and I showed that data in my video looking at Sargent, that some of the drivers who've had the worst rookie season statistically have had very, very good teammates. So, of course, for these drivers, for Piastri, for example, a very, very strong teammate to go up against as a rookie. So that's why, even though this data doesn't look great on the surface of it, I think you have to remember that his teammate is Lando Norris, who I would say is one of the strongest drivers in Formula One at the moment. So, just to summarize, I would say that Oscar's rookie season has gone pretty well. I think it's got kind of matched what my expectations. I think I knew he would lose to Norris because Norris is such a good driver. But I do think he's been pretty good, been very stable, hasn't had a ton of crashes like De Vries had, like Sargent's been having. So that's definitely a really good sign. So overall, that's kind of my thoughts on Oscar Piastri's rookie season. Really positive, generally pretty good job I think he's done so far. And I'm really excited to do what he does for the rest of this year and next year. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.